Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down chapter 116 today, Unremarkable, which is, of course, Oda's classic way of telling you that this chapter is anything but.
He has a certain talent for ironic titles, and this one delivers almost immediately. We get not one, but two characters who both introduce themselves with the exact same title.
Elbaph's strongest warrior. Two of them on the same tiny prehistoric island at the exact same time. It's perfect. It's not even one of the strongest or a great warrior. It's a definitive, absolute title, the strongest, and there's two of them.
It raises an immediate question. How can there be two strongest warriors? One of them has to be lying. Or they're both lying, perhaps a shared delusion. It's a logical paradox presented on the very first page where they appear. It's not a mystery for later. It's the central hook of the entire island.
Or they're both telling the truth, and that's the whole problem, which is somehow the most grand line answer possible. The rules of math and logic just kind of check out at the door when you cross the red line. If you want to stick around long enough to see how that math works out, make sure you're following the pod. We're going to need a whole year on this island, apparently.
Let's hope not. But yes, let's start at the beginning. The island's welcoming committee is a little aggressive. We've just come from Whiskey Peak, this bizarre town of bounty hunters, and before that, the inside of a whale.
The crew is probably just desperate for a normal, peaceful island to restock. And what do they get? The opposite of normal and peaceful. We open with Sanji and Zoro out hunting, trying to get provisions, doing their thing. And immediately, it's just dinosaurs everywhere. There is no gentle introduction. It's not like they find a big footprint and wonder what could have made it. No, it's just pure Jurassic-level chaos from panel 1.
Sanji hears a scream from Nami and thinks she's in trouble, a classic gag that immediately puts him on high alert. He charges through the jungle, ready to defend her honor, and he runs straight into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Just a casual T-Rex in the jungle. Oda doesn't even give it a special name or a weird design at first. It's just a T-Rex, as if that's a perfectly normal thing to encounter.
And Zoro, of course, not to be outdone in the cool animal encounter department, comes face to face with a Triceratops. There's no build-up, no what's that in the bushes. It's just bam, prehistoric island, deal with it. This is exactly the kind of escalation the Grand Line promised. Remember back in Logetown when everyone was hyping it up? This is the payoff. This is what it means for every island to have its own climate, its own culture, its own era.
It immediately establishes the rules, or lack thereof. This isn't just a strange island. It's an island lost to time. The ecosystem is completely alien to them. Everything here, from the plants that look like giant sundaes to the wildlife, is on a scale they've never dealt with before. It makes the sea kings of the Calm Belt look like pets.
And it's not just the scale, it's the hostility. That T-Rex isn't just wandering around, it's actively hunting them. This place wants them dead. And while Sanji and Zoro are having their own little monster hunting competition warm-up, the real show is back on the Sunny. Nami and Usopp are just standing there, and this shadow falls over the whole ship.
The framing of this is masterful. You don't see the source of the shadow at first, just the creeping darkness, the sudden chill in the air. Nami and Usopp look up, and the panel pulls back to show this leg, a leg the size of their entire ship, and a voice booms out, asking if they have any rum.
It's a giant, the first real giant we've seen in the series. His name is Brogy.
The scale of this is incredible. You can't even put it into words. He's just standing in the shallow water next to the ship, and he towers over the mast. The Sunny, which has felt like their whole world, suddenly looks like a bathtub toy.
Nami and Usopp's faces are just perfect terror. Their jaws are on the floor, their eyes are popping out. It's pure, unfiltered panic.
It's the kind of fear that goes beyond simple danger. It's an existential shock. They are looking at a living, breathing creature that defies all known biology from their home sea. And then, to make it worse, a dinosaur comes up and bites him on the backside.
He doesn't even flinch. It's like a mosquito bite to him. He just yells, turns around, and in one clean motion with this massive axe, he decapitates this colossal sea dino, and then he holds up its head, which is bigger than the Sunny, and proudly proclaims he is Brogy, the strongest warrior of Elbaph. The blood is raining down around him. It's metal as hell.
That's how you make an entrance. Instantly establishing his strength, his origin, and his complete disregard for threats that would be apocalyptic for our heroes. Nami and Usopp's reaction is the only sane one. They just play dead.
They just collapse on the deck. It's the Usopp special. We've seen it before, but never this justified. When in doubt, pretend you're already defeated. Smart move, honestly. What are you supposed to do against that? Fight him? You'd be a smear on the deck. Argue with him? He probably couldn't even hear you from up there. Playing dead is the only option.
It's a terrifying display of casual power. To him, that dinosaur was a minor pest, an interruption to his quest for alcohol. To Nami and Usopp, it would have been a ship-ending, crew-ending threat. They would have had no chance.
Exactly. It recalibrates the power scale of the world in a single action. We thought Arlong was tough. We thought Crocodile, this mysterious warlord, was the peak. And now here's a guy who kills things bigger than Arlong Park for a snack. We're not in the East Blue anymore. Not even close.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the island, Luffy is having the complete opposite reaction to this place. He's not terrified. He's delighted.
Of course he is. Of course. Any normal person sees dinosaurs and runs. Luffy sees dinosaurs and thinks, new friends and a jungle gym. He's found the tallest dinosaur, a brontosaurus, climbed up its neck like it's a ladder and is using it as a moving watchtower. Just soaking in the sights, a huge grin on his face.
Vivi is on the ground, understandably frantic, embodying the audience's perspective. She's yelling at him, telling him to get down, that it's dangerous. But Luffy has spotted something. A rock formation in the distance that looks like a giant dessert with strange holes in it.
Classic Luffy. He's not scared, he's curious. He's not intimidated, he's intrigued. He operates on a completely different wavelength from everyone else. But his ride gets a little upset, I guess. The Brontosaurus just whips its head back and swallows him whole. Just like that. Gone. Vivi is horrified. She's just seen her new friend and the captain of this ship eaten alive by a prehistoric monster. For her, who has seen so much tragedy, this must feel like the final absurd nail in the coffin. And then history repeats itself.
The dinosaur is decapitated in one clean swing, the exact same way Brogy took out his dinosaur. It's a perfect mirror image. The head flies off and Luffy just comes tumbling out of the Brontosaurus's throat, covered in dino slobber, and lands right in the palm of another giant.
The deliberateness of this parallel is what makes it so brilliant. Oda is showing us the same event from two different perspectives. For Nami and Usopp, it was an act of pure terror. For Luffy, it's his rescue. This one is Dorry, and the first words out of his mouth? I am Elbaph's strongest warrior. Chills. It's so good. It's a line that was already epic and intimidating, and now it's a mystery. Oda introduces this incredible concept, a giant warrior from a legendary land, and then immediately duplicates it, which cheapens the title but exponentially increases the intrigue.
It completely changes the context. The first time, Brogy's declaration is a boast. It's a statement of power. The second time, from Dorry, it's a plot point. It reframes everything. We now have a central mystery. Why are there two strongest warriors? And what are they doing on this forgotten island?
Vivi's just staring up at him, probably thinking her life is over, that she's just been saved from one monster to be eaten by another. And Dorry just laughs this big, booming laugh and invites them back to his place for a meal. The hospitality on this island is a little aggressive, but it's there. He's just as friendly as Luffy in his own giant way.
So now we have two separate camps, a classic storytelling technique to explore the same environment from different angles. Brogy has taken his guests, Nami and Usopp, back to his home, and Dorry has taken Luffy and Vivi to his, and the vibes could not be more different.
And Usopp and Nami are not having a good time. Not at all. Brogy is roasting the dinosaur meat he just caught on a fire big enough to be a forge, offering them some, but all they can see are the giant skeletons of other creatures scattered all around his camp. These aren't just dinosaur bones. They're skulls of massive beasts that look like something out of a nightmare.
To them, it looks like the graveyard of his previous meals, or worse, his previous guests. They're convinced they're next on the menu. Every friendly gesture from Brogy, offering them rum, offering them food, is interpreted through a filter of pure terror. He's just fatting them up.
Which you can't blame them. The dude is 100 feet tall and just killed a monster like it was nothing. I'd be sweating too. Nami, ever the pragmatist, asks the most important question: how long till the log post sets? She's already planning the escape. She just needs to know the timeline.
And Brogy, very casually, without a hint of malice, just enjoying his roasted lizard, tells them 1 year.
A full year. An entire year. They are absolutely floored. You can see the life drain out of their faces. That's not just a long time, it's an impossible time. They can't stay on a dinosaur island with 2 warring giants for a whole year. Their food would run out, their ship would rot, they'd go insane.
This is the first time we've encountered a log post time that is genuinely untenable. Up until now, the log has been a convenient plot device, a timer for the end of an arc. A few hours on Whiskey Peak, a few days for the next island. This is different. This is a real narrative problem. They can't wait it out.
It raises the stakes of the island immediately. This isn't just a stopover, it's a trap, a magnetic prison. And it makes you wonder what the hell is on this island that could have a magnetic field that strong? What could possibly take a full year to process?
A trap with a very powerful magnetic field. It suggests that something on this island, or perhaps the island itself, is so significant, so dense with whatever energy log posts track, that it takes that long for the needle to adjust. This isn't an ordinary place, even by Grand Line standards.
Over at Dorry's camp, the vibe is totally different. It's not a horror movie, it's a dinner party. Luffy is just sitting there, cross-legged on a rock that's probably the size of a car, munching on dinosaur meat, having a perfectly normal conversation with a being the size of a building. No fear, no suspicion. This is Luffy's unique gift. It's his superpower, more so than his rubber abilities. He doesn't see size or race or reputation. He sees past all the external trappings that terrify normal people. He just sees a person, and if they're offering food and they're laughing, they're probably okay.
He just asks him straight up, "Where are you from?" No hesitation. And Dorry, who seems genuinely happy to have company, tells him, "Elbaph, a village of warriors, a land of giants, somewhere on the Grand Line." This is our first real piece of lore about Elbaph, a name that's going to echo through the entire series.
He explains their culture, their warrior code, that in Elbaph, quarrels that can't be resolved between warriors are settled by the gods through combat. It's a trial by combat, a secret tradition.
And that's what he's doing here. He's fighting Brogy. They had a disagreement, and according to their village's rules, they have to fight until one of them is defeated. It's a matter of honor.
Vivi is appalled by this. She comes from a kingdom where diplomacy and peace are the ideals, even if they're currently failing. The idea of a custom that demands endless, potentially fatal violence over a mere argument is abhorrent to her. But the truly staggering part, the detail that breaks your brain, is the timeline.
100 years. They have been fighting each other every single day for a century. A century. That is mind-boggling. Most people don't even live that long. These two have spent an entire human lifetime and then some locked in a single duel.
It's an almost unimaginable length of time. That's generations of human life spent on a single conflict. Think about everything that has happened in the world in the last 100 years. And for them, every single day has been the same. Wake up, wait for the volcano, and try to kill your best friend.
And here's the kicker, the absolute punchline to this century-long joke. Luffy asks them what they're fighting about, the inciting incident for this epic, generation-spanning war, and Dorry admits he can't remember. Neither of them can.
It's been so long that the reason has completely eroded from their memory. They've long since forgotten the cause. Now, he says, they fight only for the sake of their pride. The fight itself has become the reason. To abandon the fight would be to dishonor themselves, their gods, and the memory of the duel. It's a sunk cost fallacy elevated to a spiritual doctrine.
That is some next-level warrior code right there. It's so ridiculous, it's so tragic, but at the same time, you have to respect the sheer conviction. 100 years over nothing. That's commitment. You and I can barely commit to finishing a TV series.
Vivi, again being the voice of reason, speaks out against it. She calls it barbaric, pointless. She's trying to apply her worldview, a rational, peaceful worldview, to a situation that has long since transcended rationality. But right then, as if on cue, the volcano in the center of the island erupts.
It's their signal, their daily alarm clock for violence. The daily duel is about to begin. Dorry stands up, this immense figure grabbing his sword, ready to go. Vivi, bless her heart, tries to stop him, to reason with him, to tell him this is pointless. And Luffy, surprisingly, stops her. He doesn't say much, he just puts a hand on her shoulder and tells her to be quiet.
This is such a key moment for Luffy's character. It's one of his most mature moments to date. He's not a philosopher, he's not a diplomat. He doesn't care about the logic of their fight or whether it's barbaric. He understands conviction. He sees two warriors who have committed themselves to this path, to their code of honor, and he's not going to get in the way of that. He respects the fight itself.
He doesn't judge their reasons or their lack thereof. He just recognizes the sincerity of their will. He sees that for them, this duel is the most important thing in their world. To interfere, to tell them they are wrong, would be the ultimate sign of disrespect. It's a very pure, almost animalistic understanding of honor. He gets it on a gut level that Vivi, with all her royal education, cannot.
Dorry then heads out to meet his opponent. The two giants stride to the center of the island, weapons raised, passing the skeletons of long-dead dinosaurs, and they let out these massive war cries that shake the very ground.
Dorry! Brogy! And then they clash, an axe against a sword and shield wielded by beings of immense power. The panel just shows the impact, this explosion of force.
The impact is huge, but it's what happens to Luffy that really sells the moment, that tells you this is something different. He's just standing there, watching, and then he just collapses, falls flat on his face, out cold.
It's not that he was hit by anything. Vivi's fine, standing right next to him. It's not a physical shockwave. The implication, and it's a concept Oda will build on for the next 1,000 chapters, is that the sheer spiritual pressure, the force of their century-long battle, just overwhelmed him.
Yes, that's exactly it. It's the weight of their combined wills crashing together. Think about it, 100 years of pride and honor and anger and friendship and resentment, all focused into one single point, one clash of steel. And Luffy, who is so in tune with the spirit of things, with a person's will, he felt the full force of it. He just short-circuited himself.
It's a fascinating way to demonstrate power. We've seen physical strength with Zoro, tactical strength with Nami, devil fruit abilities. This is something else entirely. This is the power of a warrior's soul made manifest. This is the first faint hint of what will eventually be called Haki, a clash of wills so potent it has a physical effect on those sensitive enough to perceive it.
It's a statement from Oda. These giants aren't just big. They aren't just strong in the way that we understand strength. They operate on a different level of existence. And our crew has just landed right in the middle of their ancient, soul-crushing war. This is super.
It really is. 100 years. I can't get over that. The world just keeps getting older and stranger. Every island deepens the lore and expands the history of this world in ways we can't even anticipate.
What a chapter. The setup is just immaculate. 2 giants, 1 forgotten reason, and a whole lot of dinosaur meat. What do you think that original argument was even about? If you've got a theory, no matter how wild, drop it in the comments. We want to hear the most ridiculous reasons for a 100-year fight. I'm betting it was over who caught the bigger Sea King.
I'm sure some of them will be more plausible than the real answer, whatever it is. Knowing Oda, it will be something incredibly petty and childish, which only makes the century of fighting more poignant. All right, predictions for chapter 117.
Okay, I got 2. First, we haven't seen Zoro and Sanji since the start of the chapter. They're still out there in Dinosaur Land.
My prediction is they are going to have a dinosaur hunting contest, completely independent of everything else. And they're going to show up at their respective camps. Zoro will find Dorry, Sanji will find Brogy, dragging these absolutely colossal kills, trying to one-up each other and inadvertently feeding the giants for a week. Sanji will have perfectly butchered his, of course.
That feels very plausible. The rivalry continues even against prehistoric beasts. It's a perfect way to reincorporate them into the plot and provide some levity.
Second prediction, Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week. We know they got away from Whiskey Peak. We know they're trailing the crew. I think they're already on Little Garden, and they're going to see this duel. But instead of being scared like a normal person, Baroque Works agents are going to see it as an opportunity. They're going to try and use their weird wax and art powers to interfere, maybe trap one or both of the giants to collect their bounties.
Interfering in a century-old duel between two warriors of that caliber? That sounds like a catastrophically bad idea, a level of hubris that could only come from a Baroque Works officer, which is exactly why they would try it. I like it. Okay, my turn.
Hit me.
My first prediction is about the log post. That 1-year timer isn't just a random number. It is directly tied to the volcano. It's not just a signal for their fight. The volcano is the source of the island's unique magnetic properties, and its regular eruptions are what keep the log post settling. There is some kind of strange mineral or energy deep inside it that creates this anomaly. The duel is intrinsically linked to the very phenomenon that traps them on the island.
Ooh, the geology of the Grand Line. I love that. So the symbol of their fight is also the mechanism of the prison. That's poetic. Super poetic.
Precisely. My second prediction is about Usopp. Right now, he is terrified. He is in full-on survival mode, playing dead to avoid being eaten. But he is also hearing these stories of Elbaph, this land of brave warriors. I predict by the end of this arc, seeing Dorry and Brogy's immense pride and their unwavering commitment to their honor, even over a forgotten reason, will be a foundational moment for him. This is where his dream of becoming a brave warrior of the sea truly begins to take shape. He's found his role models. They're terrifying, but they're what he wants to be.
From terror to inspiration, that's our Captain Usopp. I can absolutely see that happening. He's going to go from seeing them as monsters to seeing them as heroes. He's going to want to hear all their stories.
He just has to survive long enough to ask. Oh, and a small piece of trivia for this week. In the author's comments for this chapter's release in Shonen Jump, Oda mentioned he and his staff got a WonderSwan. That was a handheld gaming console from Bandai, and they were all obsessed with a puzzle game on it called Gunpei.
Even in the middle of writing about 100-year giant wars and soul-crushing spiritual pressure, he's got time for video games. You gotta love it. Probably helps him come up with all his crazy stuff. Alright, that's all for this chapter. An incredible setup for what's sure to be a super arc. We'll see you next time.